When passengers aboard a flight found themselves in an unsettling situation, one young man stood tall to ensure respect and honor were upheld in a moment that would go down in history. This was not just any passenger. This was Barron Trump, the youngest son of former U.S. President Donald Trump. What transpired was a show of courage, patriotism, and respect for those who have given their lives for their country, and it left everyone in the cabin and the world in awe. It all began on a routine commercial flight. Passengers were settling in for their journey, some lost in their own thoughts, others engrossed in their digital screens. However, in the midst of this everyday scene, an extraordinary series of events was about to unfold. The aircraft had just reached cruising altitude when the flight attendants made an announcement that caught everyone's attention. Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please take a moment of silence as we honor the memory of a fallen soldier on board whose body is being returned to his family, the flight attendant said. The announcement was met with a few murmurs and uncomfortable glances from some passengers. In the air, silence is a rare commodity, but this particular silence was supposed to be a mark of respect for a life lost while serving in the U.S. military. At first, everything seemed to go as planned. Most passengers lowered their heads and paused to reflect. But as moments passed, a small group of individuals began to whisper. Their voices, though soft, broke the tranquility that had settled over the cabin. What seemed like an innocent conversation quickly escalated into something much more. One passenger, a middle-aged man seated near the front, raised his voice slightly, making comments about how these types of ceremonies were unnecessary or overly dramatic. The tone was dismissive, filled with a sense of entitlement and disrespect for the fallen hero's sacrifice. As the murmurs grew louder, a few more passengers began to share in the sentiment. They were frustrated by the delay caused by the moment of silence, eager to get back to their routines. Some openly expressed their annoyance at the inconvenience, talking about how they just wanted to get home. But amid this growing tension, a lone voice rose above the rest. Barron Trump, who had been sitting quietly in his seat, stood up. He wasn't looking for attention. He wasn't making a scene for the sake of it. But in that moment, his actions spoke volumes. Without hesitation, Barron walked toward the front of the cabin, where the passengers had begun to speak disrespectfully about the fallen soldier. He addressed them directly, his voice calm but firm, as he called for the passengers to stop their behavior. "Excuse me," Barron said, his voice cutting through the noise. "I think we all need to take a step back and remember why we're here. A man gave his life for this country. He fought for our freedom, for our right to be here. You can be upset all you want, but that doesn't give you the right to disrespect someone who made the ultimate sacrifice." The passengers who had been speaking out of turn began to lower their heads, their expressions shifting from defiance to discomfort. One by one, the murmurs ceased, replaced by an overwhelming sense of shame for what had just transpired. At that moment, something remarkable happened. The flight attendant, who had been standing quietly nearby, approached Barron. She placed her hand gently on his shoulder, a look of gratitude in her eyes. "Thank you," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "Thank you for reminding all of us what really matters." Barron gave a small nod, his face betraying a hint of pride. But it wasn't the pride of someone seeking validation. It was the quiet pride of someone who knew that doing the right thing had made a difference. He didn't need recognition or applause for his actions. He had done what he felt was right, and that was enough. The rest of the flight continued without further incident, but the mood had shifted. People were more subdued, reflecting on the power of Barron's words, on the importance of showing respect for those who give everything for their country. Some passengers even spoke quietly among themselves, sharing their thoughts on the situation, many apologizing for their earlier behavior. As the plane began its descent, it was clear that what had happened on that flight would not be easily forgotten. Barron Trump had taken a stand, not because he was forced to, but because he understood the value of honoring those who serve. In that one moment, Barron had reminded everyone aboard of the importance of respect, the importance of gratitude, and the importance of remembering those who have fallen in the service of their country. In a world where moments of disrespect can often go unnoticed, Barron Trump's courage to speak up and call out the disrespect for a fallen soldier proved that even in the most unlikely circumstances, there are individuals who will stand tall to ensure that honor and dignity prevail. It was a moment that transcended politics, celebrity, and status. It was simply about doing what is right. As the flight continued its descent, something extraordinary began to unfold. The captain made an announcement over the intercom, thanking Barron Trump for his courageous actions. His words were met with a round of applause from the passengers, a sign that the mood had completely shifted. This wasn't just any applause, it was a collective gesture of admiration, respect, and gratitude for a young man who had not only stood up for the right thing, but had done so with a level of maturity that many passengers hadn't expected. But it didn't end there. After the captain's announcement, a few passengers made their way to Barron's seat. They were visibly humbled by what had transpired and approached him with sincere apologies for their earlier behavior. Some of them, who had been vocal about their disdain for the moment of silence, admitted their fault and expressed how Barron's words had made them reflect on their actions. One elderly woman, who had been seated a few rows behind Barron, came forward with tears in her eyes. "I was wrong," she said softly, her voice shaky. "You reminded us of something that many of us had forgotten. My own son served in the military, and I should have known better. Thank you for making me see that." Barron, though clearly surprised by the emotional outpouring, responded with the same quiet dignity that had defined his earlier actions. "It's not about me," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. "It's about remembering the sacrifice and honor that comes with serving our country. We all have to do our part to keep that alive." The woman hugged him briefly before walking back to her seat, her eyes still moist but filled with gratitude. Another passenger, a man in his mid-30s, stood up to share his thoughts as well. "I have to admit," he said, addressing the rest of the cabin, "I was one of the people who didn't take this moment seriously enough. I didn't even realize how disrespectful I was being. Barron, you've made me rethink my attitude completely. Thank you for your words. They've had a real impact on me." The mood on the flight had gone from one of tension and discomfort to one of introspection and unity. Passengers who had previously been agitated and indifferent were now looking at each other with a sense of understanding and shared respect. Barron's intervention had done more than just stop a few people from speaking out of turn. It had sparked a collective awareness among the passengers that their actions, no matter how small, carried weight. As the plane neared its final destination, the atmosphere remained solemn but respectful. The in-flight entertainment system, which had been playing music earlier, was now turned off, and many passengers sat in quiet reflection. Some were texting their loved ones, sharing the story of what had happened on the flight, while others simply stared out of the window, lost in thought. It was clear that Barron's act of courage had left a lasting impression on everyone aboard. When the plane landed, there was another round of applause, not for Barron's celebrity or his family name, but for his character, his integrity, and his ability to stand up in the face of disrespect and demand that others do the same. He had managed to bring a group of strangers together with nothing but his words, and he did it in a way that transcended his age and status. As passengers disembarked, many took the time to approach Barron once more. A few offered their thanks, while others simply nodded in acknowledgement, recognizing that they had just witnessed something truly remarkable. In the days following the flight, news outlets and social media platforms picked up on the story. Barron Trump had not only taken a stand for respect and honor, but had done so in a way that resonated with people across the world. His actions sparked conversations about the importance of military service, the value of respecting those who serve, and the need for individuals to take responsibility for upholding the values that make a society strong. What was even more striking was the way the story was shared. It wasn't just about Barron Trump's celebrity status or his connection to the former president. It was about the message he had sent. It was a message about honoring sacrifice, about recognizing the dignity of others, and about standing up for what is right no matter the situation. As the days passed after the flight, the story of Barron Trump's stand against disrespect continued to make waves. The incident garnered widespread attention across various media platforms, sparking discussions on the importance of honor, sacrifice, and respect. Barron had not only stood up to a few disruptive passengers, but his actions reverberated far beyond that one flight. What he had done was a reminder that sometimes even the smallest act of courage can ignite a much-needed change in perspective for others. In the wake of the incident, Barron's actions began to inspire others. Veterans, who had served in the military, took to social media to commend him. One post from a former soldier gained massive traction. As a veteran, I've experienced my share of disrespect. What Barron did on that flight was more than just a small act of courage. It was a powerful message. Sometimes we need young people like him to remind us of what really matters. It wasn't about him being famous. It was about doing the right thing. We need more of that in this world. This statement resonated with many. Veterans, parents, and individuals who had felt the weight of sacrifice and service appreciated the way Barron had spoken out for something larger than himself. They saw his actions as a beacon of hope, a reminder that there was still honor and respect in the younger generation, that there was still a desire to preserve the values that made this country strong. In schools across the nation, teachers began to use the incident as a teaching moment, reminding students about the importance of respect, gratitude, and standing up for what's right, even when it's uncomfortable. The incident on the plane is an example of someone taking responsibility for others, even when they don't have to, one teacher said in a classroom discussion. It's about showing that we can all make a difference no matter our age or status. And it's about remembering the bigger picture, the sacrifices that so many make for our freedom. For Barron, the attention was unexpected, but it seemed to ignite a deeper sense of purpose within him. His family, particularly his father, expressed pride in his actions. In an interview, Donald Trump himself praised Barron's maturity and his ability to rise above the situation. He did what any decent person would do, Donald Trump said, his voice filled with pride. But it's still impressive. It's not easy to stand up when everyone else is too busy talking, too busy being disrespectful. I'm proud of him for speaking up. But it wasn't just Barron's parents who were proud of him. People who had watched the incident unfold on social media expressed admiration for Barron's quiet strength. One comment on Twitter read, "I don't know if Barron will ever fully understand the impact he had on so many people, but what he did was powerful. His actions reminded us all of the importance of basic human decency." Even celebrities and well-known figures weighed in. A famous Hollywood actor tweeted, "It's rare to see someone take a stand like that, especially when they don't have to." Barron Trump showed maturity far beyond his years. That was the act of a person who truly understands what it means to respect others. As Barron's story continued to spread, more passengers from that flight came forward to share their experiences. One woman who had been sitting near the middle of the plane recounted how Barron's words had left a profound impact on her. "I wasn't one of the ones disrespecting the fallen soldier," she said, "but I was definitely uncomfortable. I didn't know what to say when the others were speaking out." Barron's voice cut through everything. It wasn't angry, it wasn't judgmental. It was just a calm reminder of what we should have all already known. He made me rethink everything.